Hello and welcome to the Post-18 Information Talk. We're delighted you could join us for this, and we hope that it'll give you lots of useful information to support your son or daughter through the challenging time of making decisions about what they want to do after sixth form. It's a really exciting time, but it's also a lot of information to deal with. So hopefully we can help you feel a bit more comfortable with that and the different pathways available, and also support your son or daughter in those choices. In this presentation, I hope we've met already, but my name is Catherine Truman. I'm the head of sixth form, and I will be talking to you a little bit later about the university route. But first of all, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Miss Langford-Lasney, who's the post-16 careers lead, and she's going to talk a little bit about other non-university routes post-18.
Hello everyone, I'm Miss Langford-Lasney. I'm the careers lead for sixth form at Haysfield, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about non-university routes. So those non-university routes encompass foundation courses at further education colleges, apprenticeships, and also wider employment. At Haysfield, we recommend that everybody follows a twin track application, which means you apply for Ucas for a university degree in October and November. That's £26, and potentially defer a place until 2022, and then also apply for apprenticeships or employment a bit later, so November through to June. All the decisions will come through in the August, and then you've got your pick of what you do next. So if we start looking at foundation courses at further education colleges, these are extendable to a full university degree, so you can start the course as a foundation course and extend it afterwards. They take into account broader experience as well as qualifications, for instance work experience, and they're flexible and they're generally more local. So we're talking locally about Bath College, Wiltshire College, City of Bristol College. It's the usual route for students who might be pursuing fine art and art or textiles courses as well. In terms of apprenticeships, there's a lot of different information out there about apprenticeships. The important thing to note is the different levels. So level 2, an intermediate apprenticeship, is the equivalent of GCSE. Level 3, advanced, is an A-level style apprenticeship. And the ones that we're looking at really are the higher, which is levels 4, 5, 6 and 7, and then the degree apprenticeships, which are levels 6 and 7, which give you a bachelor's or a master's degree. So one of the best places to start is the government's apprenticeships website. It's got a really good overview, it's got some case study videos, and it's a good place to start because it's quite inspiring. I suppose the place I'd go for more detail would be amazingapprenticeships.com, which is, I think, the most useful website in terms of really looking in detail once you've decided you want an apprenticeship and where to apply. So things to look out for, on the front page, if you scroll down, they've got a parents section. They do monthly parents packs, which has a lot of information that you could have at home to support. And they've also got the vacancy snapshot, which gives you a really clear idea of who's hiring and for what kind of roles. They've got a load of resources on there, broadcasts, and you can also contact people for further support on there as well. So that's a really good website, amazingapprenticeships.com. We have some apprenticeship success stories from Haysfield. So for instance, Bella, who applied for Ucas through Ucas to do accountancy and deferred a place at Reading University, was then offered a higher apprenticeship at Deloitte, and her starting salary was 18k. She got all her accountancy paid for, so 5 years of accountancy training, and she's off and flying. We also had Chris, who did his work experience at a local manufacturing firm, and on the back of that was offered paid work over the summer, and he's done an electrical engineering higher apprenticeship, so again one of those top level ones, with study blocks at City of Bristol College, and he's continued with his employment alongside that. So for some students this is a great pathway. So higher apprenticeships dates are slightly different. They run December to June, and they tend to be linked to the FE colleges and for more specific vocational roles. Degree apprenticeships, by contrast, have a shorter window, November to February. They are linked to a university rather than an FE college, and they tend to be with the national firms. In terms of locally, certain sectors are definitely better represented. So the main ones come from engineering, IT, accounting and finance. Law is a growth area, and retail management as well, which has some surprisingly competitive salaries. Some local options. So in terms of support through the process, for employment or for apprenticeships, the Career Pilot website is really excellent. It's got a post-16 skills map, which gives students who log in an opportunity to really create a profile for themselves that they can then translate into CVs and letters of application. Searches can all be bookmarked and stored. It's a really excellent website to use. It also has a parents section. Ucas, of course, has a section for alternatives. So on the top bar, you can see there, alternative pathways. And it's got an apprenticeship search as well as gap year and overseas study. And you can search in quite a lot of detail in their refined search section. The Not Going to Uni website is also popular. They have a really broad range of things on there, including employment and sort of further education opportunities. They include a parents' monthly newsletter as well. And Get My First Job, really similar in layout to Not Going to Uni. It's really accessible, this website. So if you're struggling to find your way through the application process, this is an excellent place to come. And you can also search by location on here, which is a really nice tool. So one of the things with apprenticeships, at the moment things are changing fast. The government is fully behind apprenticeships, and you may have seen in the news the funding that they're lending to support that. But it's effectively an active employment process. So do keep an eye on vacancies, keep an eye on the weekly notes and the careers website, where we'll have more events and opportunities, and previous bulletins, which are all linked to the school bulletin. The careers bulletins give you a good taste of the opportunities available and the kind of things that you might expect to come up.
Hello again. So I'm going to be focusing on Ucas, which is the University and Colleges Admissions Service, for students who wish to go to higher education after sixth form. In terms of our school, we do have about 20% of our students who choose to go into employment or higher apprenticeships, but over 80% of our students regularly choose to go on to further and university education. So that's why we felt it was important that we give you the opportunity to find out more about how it works. Now, there's a lot of debate, quite rightly, about the value of a degree from university. And I think things have changed over the last couple of decades. Possibly the premium of a degree in terms of income has reduced slightly, and also the opportunities available and the career paths available when not going through a degree have increased vastly. However, there still is a premium attached to a university education in terms of the job marketplace. You'll have a wider choice of job prospects at the end of university, and for certain career paths it's absolutely vital to have a university level education. Many employers still target graduates, and on average, and I appreciate that's not always the case, but on average they have a higher earning potential. If you're not sure about applying, whether university is the way forward for your son or daughter, that's absolutely fine, but we do encourage them to do what we call a twin track approach. So that might mean that they apply this September for university, but perhaps for deferred entry. That means to go the year after. So instead of putting in for 2021, they might apply for 2022. They could build in a gap year with a deferred entry already in place, so that by early 2021, they have that in place and they can have a gap year, whatever. Then, around from Christmas through to Easter, they might start looking at applying for higher apprenticeships or international travel opportunities. And if they get those things in place, if they get an apprenticeship in place, great, they can go and start that in the autumn of 2021 and see how it goes. If they really, really enjoy it, they can pull out of their university place for 2022. If they decide it's not right for them in the long term, they've already got that university place in play, ready to go. So it's not an absolute either or. Even if they don't want to do a deferred year of entry and they apply for university entry in 2021 and they look at apprenticeships, they don't have to make that final decision about which route to go for until next early in the summer, essentially. The Ucas website is how they will apply for university, and it can be a little bit overwhelming in terms of how to navigate it. But I would always advise you to just go to the top and look at the Undergraduate menu, which will drop down, and it has lots of different sections which to help you, even a parent section. The key thing at the moment that I hope your son or daughter is doing is research. And it does take a long time. You can't pick universities and courses in one afternoon. So encourage them to get going with that over the summer if they haven't done so already, and also take some time to sit with them and discuss what are the key issues for them, what are the deal breakers in terms of their choices. There are other things than just the course to consider as well. Finance. Obviously, course fees are pretty similar in most institutions, but increasingly, a lot of institutions offer scholarships, bursaries, grants, depending on your circumstances and your aptitude. How far away from home do they want to be? How easy is it going to be to travel there and back in terms of costs and time? And also the living costs can vary enormously. Perhaps a final area to think about might be extracurricular. So if you are a mad keen rugby player or a very talented musician, but you're not studying those subjects at university, you might want to look at how good the facilities are for those things outside in the universities that you're looking to apply for. Do think carefully about something that has developed in the last few years, which is also called foundation degree. Sometimes we find that Year 13s get a little bit downhearted that some of their predicted grades don't match the courses that they're aspiring to. But it's never the end of that choice. It may just have to take a slightly different path. When you see a course and it has the letters after it, BSc, BA, BEd, most undergraduate degrees are bachelor's degrees, although not all, confusingly. That's a full degree. If it has the letters HONS after it, that means it's a slightly higher level honours degree, and most people would go for an bachelor honours degree at this stage. Those courses are usually 3 or 4 years, full time, and most full degrees at most universities would ask for at least 3 Cs equivalent or better, some considerably higher. However, if you think that your son or daughter is not quite on track to get that at the end of the 2 years, it's not the end of the route. Increasingly in the last few years, we've seen the emergence of things called foundation degrees. They're often labelled as FDSC, FDA, foundation degrees. And these are designed to be a really useful transition between sixth form study and university study. And it would be a 1-year course. And then during that 1-year course, provided things go well and they still want to move forward, they can apply for the full degree, either at the institution they're in or at a different institution. And these are much more accessible. There are some foundation degrees where you just have to have 2 passes at A-level. Usually it tends to be in the region somewhere between 2 Ds and 3 Cs. So if there is a difficulty that means that your son or daughter is thinking, well, I really want to do that, but I can't get onto that with my grades at the moment, then if they're unable to improve their grades, this is a useful alternative. The other one foundation degree that we're more familiar with perhaps is the art foundation degrees. These are a well-trodden path by students who want to go onto an art-related career or fashion or design. These last 1 year and they are free until your son or daughter is 19. So that means that if they do 2 years in sixth form and go straight onto an art foundation degree, in most cases they won't have to pay fees. Beyond that they would. There are some foundation degrees who will charge fees from the age of 18, but there are a couple of good institutions locally that don't. It's usually the route to art college full degrees, and enables them to have time to specialise and to then apply to art colleges which are appropriate for their specialism. They don't apply through Ucas, but they will have to apply directly to either, say, Bath College or Trowbridge College, and they will have to submit a portfolio. Mr. Lee, the head of art, is very happy to be the main contact for that and support students in their applications, even if they don't currently study art or photography. Now, this is a strange slide to talk about this year, because normally at this stage I would be saying visit, visit, visit. Go on as many open days as you can. A bit difficult at the moment. But actually, almost all universities now are offering virtual online open days. It's not going to be the same, but it will give them a taster of them. And I hope that if they haven't registered already, there will be more of them in September and October. So register for those and get themselves a taste of that. There's also a very useful website called unitasterdays.com, which lists all the taster days that are available for registration each week, and that's updated every Tuesday. The Ucas website itself also offers some virtual tours of universities, and that's another way to find out if you find that you've missed an open day. Equally, if things open up as we move into the autumn, then even if there isn't an open day available, there's nothing to stop you and your son or daughter going to visit at least the city or the town where the university is placed, so they can get a sense of that place. The University and College Admissions Service Undergraduate scheme is how they will apply. They can only make one set of applications per admission cycle. So if they make their applications this autumn and then change their mind in the spring, they can't apply again until next autumn. It costs £26 for up to 5 choices, and £20 if you only want to make one choice of one course, but that's quite a risky strategy. Most subject areas you can make a maximum of 5 choices. There are some restrictions. For example, veterinary and medical applications, you're only allowed 4. There is something on the form when they fill it in, because obviously they need to log in themselves and do it, but there is something called a nominated access option where they can give you access to their form. And whilst the average 17-year-old is terribly private about this and doesn't want to do that, it is very helpful, particularly if there is a problem and they're not at home to deal with it. You can log in and have authority to respond on their behalf. Most universities now do something called simultaneous consideration, which means they keep all of the applications until the final deadline in January, and then look at them then together. Not all do, though. So we do encourage students to get their applications in as soon as possible, because some universities will start giving out offers from the 6th of September. One key thing that has changed since 20-30 years ago is that universities can no longer see the other choices a student has made. So if they have applied for the same course at 2 different universities, they can't see that. They can only see the choice they've made for their university. And the students do not need to rank order their choices. They're all given equal consideration. When they come to fill in the form, it always takes a lot longer than they think it's going to. It's a very big, long form with lots of sections. At this stage, even before they've made their choices, they can fill in certain sections very easily, like personal details and their education section. The only difficult thing in the personal details is the fee code. And most people will put fee code 02. That means that you will want to apply for student finance in order to take out a loan to pay your fees. If you put fee code 01, which says private finance, that means that you are going to pay all the fees up front without taking out any student loans. Some people choose to do that, but please be aware of the difference. Education, the frequently asked question about this is, do I have to put everything down? And the answer is yes. Even if you got a U grade or you got a low grade on something, you have to put it down. The courses they are currently studying in the sixth form, they need to put those in, and then instead of the grade, obviously haven't got that grade yet, they would put grade pending, which is one of the choices. That enables us to then put their predicted grades on the form, so it's very important. And please, please, please check the exact titles of their subjects they're studying with their teachers. Huge numbers of students every year write down what they think the course is called, and it isn't that, and that can cause real problems on results day when the universities are trying to check whether they've actually got their places or not. So, just in summary, 5 choices, some restrictions for certain subjects, simple application cost, and the application is entirely online. The key section, and the one that often causes the most stress for the Ucas application, is the personal statement. It really is the only section that they have control over, because the others are just facts they can't change. It's their one chance to market themselves as an individual and show that they are the kind of person and the kind of student that a university would want. And it's one personal statement for all of their choices. And that's why if they are thinking, shall I study French or shall I study maths, it's very difficult to write a personal statement that covers both. So it is theoretically possible to send a second personal statement. Let's say you wanted to apply for 4 maths courses and 1 French choice. You could theoretically send a second personal statement to the French choice, but they would already have received the personal statement talking about maths, and that's going to worry them about why you're applying for French when all your other courses are about maths. 4,000 characters is the maximum, which works out at 47 lines, and it has a minimum length of 1,000 characters. There is no spelling or grammar check on the form, so we strongly suggest that they write them in Word, spell check, grammar check, and then cut and paste across when they're happy. There is also no formatting, so they don't need to spend hours agonising over the font. When they're starting their personal statement, they will get a lot of support in school about this, but they need to think positively about what makes them stand out. Maybe a little family brainstorm about their qualities and strengths would help. They need to show enthusiasm for the course they're studying. Please, I have seen attempts in the past which say things like, I want to study business studies because, well, I do it at A-level and I can't think of anything else. That's not going to sell them to the university. And they need to list, very importantly, need to list supporting evidence to back this up. So that might be lectures they've attended, books that they've read, journals or articles that they've read, or MOOCs that they've undertaken. And that will take up most of the personal statement, probably about 3/4. They can also put in their extracurricular activities that they've done, relevant work experience, or and also skills they can use on the course, like leadership, communication, teamwork. Often they've gained those from part-time work, and so it's absolutely valid to put those in. But do encourage them to ask you for more ideas or offer those ideas yourself, because the hardest thing is actually reflecting on yourself and remembering the things that you're good at, or recognising the things that you're good at. And sometimes they'll say, well, I've got nothing to write. And actually, when you start to talk to them and start to encourage them to think about some of the things they've done in the past, they have loads to write. In terms of personal statement resources, we will be supporting them in school. On Monday, the 7th of September, they will be spending the whole day with their tutor writing and drafting their personal statements. But out of school and before that, there are lots of resources on the Ucas website to help, how-to guides, videos to watch, mind mapping tools to help them get all their ideas together. And if they can do some of that before the 7th of September, that will be really helpful to them. Once they have finally applied, they'll be asked, do they want to sign up for something called Track? And I would suggest the answer is yes, because that means that it will allow them to follow the progress of their application online. They will even through Track just text them if they would prefer that as a method of communication. So if an offer comes through, it comes straight through to their phone, and they're also able to reply to their offers online. So Track is really, really important. And we would ask that they also tick the box that says the school can follow as well, share the information with the school, because it's very difficult to support them if we don't know what's going on. Hopefully, it's a straightforward process and all their offers come in relatively quickly. It can sometimes be several months, so don't panic if they haven't got offers within a couple of weeks. But hopefully they come through quicker than that. We have known them come through all in 24 hours on occasion. And the decisions they will get will be a range of answers. It's possible that the provider might say unsuccessful. Sometimes they give an offer, sometimes they give a reason, sometimes they don't. It could be an unconditional offer, and that's not actually unconditional. That means they still need to pass their A-levels. It can take the pressure off. We're not a fan of unconditional offers simply because it also demotivates the students sometimes in terms of achieving their best. And we do say to them that your A-levels are not just for university entry, they're for life. You know, when you're in your 40s and 50s, you still have to put those grades on your application forms for jobs, and employers do take note of them. So it is important that even if they get an unconditional offer and they want to go with that, that they bear that in mind. Equally, sometimes an unconditional offer from one university can sway them to go to that university when it wasn't necessarily the right course for them. So it's lovely to receive one and very flattering, but please don't just automatically go for that one. Most offers, though, will still be what are called conditional offers. So that will be an offer which says if you get these grades or these Ucas points, then you can come. Each qualification and each grade has a number of Ucas tariff points attached to it. And so, for example, if they ask for 112 Ucas points, that means that they want your son or daughter to achieve the equivalent of 2 Bs and a C at A level. And there are tariff tables on the Ucas website to unpick that. Once they've got all of their decisions and their offers in place, they can hold up to 2 offers. So if they get 5, they have to reject 3 of them. They don't have to do this until May. They'll be given an individual reply date for their offers, which usually sometime in May. They can pick one as their firm choice and one as their insurance choice if they want to. All other offers are declined. The firm choice means that if you get the grades, you are definitely going to that university. The insurance choice is only there if you fail to get the grades for the firm choice. So there is absolutely no point in picking an insurance choice with higher offer or the same offer as your firm choice. You don't have to pick an insurance choice, but if you do pick one, please make sure that they are prepared to attend that university if they get the insurance choice. There are other options. Now, very, very rarely it is possible that a student might not receive any offers. If that's the case, don't panic, because if they've received no offers, after the 24th of February, Ucas will give them the opportunity to make 2 additional choices and try again. Usually when they receive no offers, it's because they have perhaps pitched their applications a little bit too high in relation to their predicted grades. So again, we can reflect on that and they can make 2 more choices they are more likely to receive offers for. If that isn't an option or doesn't work, from early July, something called clearing is available. And again, I want to disabuse you of any past preconceptions about clearing, that it was just what was the bottom of the barrel. That's not the case these days, and certainly for the next couple of years, it almost definitely won't be the case. Yes, these are the places that universities have left, but it is extraordinary, the range of courses at the range of universities. Last year, there were even a couple of courses in there from Cambridge. So please, if your son or daughter finds themselves in a situation for clearing, don't panic. I've had students before not get into Sheffield University for history and politics, and 2 hours later be in Nottingham for history and politics. Very, very similar universities of similar standard for the same course. So it is important that clearing is seen as a positive choice. And finally, on results day itself in August, if they have done considerably better than their predicted grades, they can use something called adjustment, which is another list where if they want to look at universities with higher entry grades than they had originally applied for, they can talk to those universities and see if they would like to change the offer. The disadvantage of that, obviously, is you're having to make a snap decision, as you would with clearing, but it is a possibility there as well. So what should they be doing now? And I know that most of the year group have already been doing this. Research, work experience, I know has been very, very difficult this year, and courses that do require that normally, like veterinary medicine, will be very understanding of that because that's been true of the whole country. They need to go beyond the syllabus that they're studying for their A-levels. They need to show what makes them stand out. But more than anything, they do need to focus on the year's studies ahead, because it is the grade that is going to be the foot in the door for them for the course and university they want to go to. So, for you, please use the Parents and section of the Ucas website. You can offer to attend open days. It's possible that in the autumn there may be a slew of open days in October that you can actually go to. We don't know yet. If they do go, if you can, please go with them, because it's very useful to have a different perspective. Also, a lot of universities will actually run sessions for parents on open days now, and so it's an opportunity for you to ask those important questions. Please don't book family holidays at key times if you can avoid it, particularly over results day next summer, because if they do need to use clearing or they want to use adjustment, it really is a full family activity. It's a busy day if they're in that situation, but it's a much more positive day if the family can be together to work on that, and will be available as well to support where necessary. And really just support and encourage them. Some students react by burying their head in the sand, and that's understandable, but they need encouragement from both sides to move forward and look to the future. The Ucas website has produced a number of videos to help parents on some of the key points, and I hope you'll take an opportunity to watch those, because they really are very informative. If English is your second language and you might struggle with some of the complexities on the website, the Ucas website also has a translation tool to help with that. Ucas has taken every opportunity to communicate, and there are a number of different social media platforms that you can also use to keep up to date with everything. And they also have the old-fashioned human touch. There is a helpline that students and yourself can ring. Generally speaking, they prefer to speak to the student, but obviously in an emergency, I'm sure they would speak to you. So they've already had a lot of Ucas preparation through school in Year 12, and as they move into Year 13, there will be even more support available for them, including some absolute non-movable deadlines that they must keep to. So just really to summarise some of the key things I've talked about. Ucas offers work, university offers work, either by giving you a grade offer that they must meet. That tends by and large to be the more selective universities, but not in all cases. Other universities will make a points-based offer. Now, the advantage of that is that they don't always expect all of those points to be gained from A-levels. So if they're doing an EPQ or core maths, they can add in extra points. Equally, there are lots of non-academic qualifications that also count. So, for example, if they've got a grade 6, 7 or 8 in Lambda or a music qualification, those have Ucas points attached to them as well. There are dancing qualifications that have Ucas points attached, and even the British Horse Society. So do have a look on the Ucas tariff tables to see how they can amass those points and put themselves in the strongest place possible. As I said, tariff tables is where you can look for further information on calculating those. Open days, virtual or reality. If the real ones come back, they're entitled to at least up to 3 days in term time. A lot of universities run them on Saturdays now, so that it's less of an issue. I just want to briefly pause and think about the students who are on tighter timescales, and these are what are called early entry students. So anyone thinking of applying for medicine, dentistry, veterinary science, any courses at Oxford or Cambridge has a much earlier deadline than everybody else. They've already had a lot of support through Year 12 and 13 because their form has to be at Ucas by the 15th of October. Now, when we say a Ucas deadline, that is not when they have to send it by, because when they pay and submit their form, it doesn't go to Ucas, it comes to the school, because we have to add a reference as long as their personal statement and predicted grades. And it does take time, particularly when we're talking about up to 180 students applying. So we say that actually 2 to 3 weeks after they've paid and submit, we will undertake to move their form forward to Ucas, and they will get a notification when that happens. So for the early entry students, their school deadline is the end of September. They need to complete the form, including the personal statement and all their choices, and pay. They may also have to take an entrance exam. They can find this out on the subject page for the university they're applying for. And if so, most university entrance exams they must go and pay for and register for through the school exams office. The only ones that I think they don't is the Ucat for medicine, where they register on the Ucat website and they take the test usually at a local driving test centre. So those students are on tighter timescales. I hope that they've already been informed of that by myself. If anybody is thinking of one of those courses and hasn't had a recent conversation with me about it, then please do so as soon as possible. Other things to think about during the year than just the courses and the offers: finance and accommodation. Student finance, there is a website called Student Finance from the government. They open up applications for student finance in March of year 13. So you've got several months before you need to worry about that. We will notify them in school when that website opens. It will require your financial details to be inputted in order to calculate those. So please work together with your son or daughter on that. When they accept a firm offer for their Ucas, the university will then contact them about accommodation and tell them when choices for accommodation open up. Even within one university, the cost can vary enormously depending on how important they consider an ensuite bathroom to be. So please make sure that they know they need to meet those deadlines for accommodation, because there will be a lot of competition for certain places, and if they miss the deadline, they're going to go right to the bottom of the list. With an insurance offer, if they end up going there, there's often no guarantee of first-year accommodation, but in many cases they are able to offer it if you're quick off the mark after results day. So, looking ahead to results day itself in August 2021. Ucas will email at 8 o'clock in the morning the student to say, yes, you've got your place, or no, I'm really sorry, you haven't. We have yet to finalise when we're going to give out the results in 12 months' time, but we usually aim for about 9 o'clock in the morning. If they have missed their offer, we think it's kinder for them to receive that news not in a public place. So if they get an email at 8 a.m. which isn't positive, please don't wait till 9. They can come in early. We will be there. Most students will get a really positive result at that point. It won't tell them their A-level grades. It will tell them whether they've got the grades for the place or not. And then they come into school, they will find out their exact grades, and then anyone who needs supportment, either for clearing, for adjustment, or in any other way, the sixth form team will be available and there to help. The key thing with clearing, if they do need to use clearing, it's time specific. They have to start that day. The key thing as well is that there are very, very long phone queues, sometimes 40, 45 minutes to speak to specific universities. So this is why we think it's helpful if family can be around, because you can be running 3 or 4 phones on hold and until they get through to one. They won't speak to you. They will only speak to your son or daughter. So it's very, very important that if they are upset, that we give them a little time and space to recognise that and deal with it, and that they can then move on. The vast, vast majority of students, it will be a really happy celebratory day, but there is that support there if we need it. And the key message with all of these things is be flexible, be persistent, and be resilient. So I'm going to finish there. I hope that's been useful to you, and the other resources that we're sending out to support you in supporting your son or daughter. If you do have any questions that you can't find the answer to, please feel free to contact us and we'll do our best to answer them for you. And hopefully some of the other information like the Ucas helpline will support as well. It's a really, really exciting time making those choices. It can be daunting, but if they embrace those choices, it will help them to move forward and onto some really fabulous opportunities in the future. Thank you very much.